Hey guys, I wanted to go live to talk about an insight that I got, some epiphany moments from doing a podcast interview. And I have friends and peers who specialize in podcasting. Like, they're all about, especially one of my friends, his name is Jamie Atkinson. He specializes in helping people grow their podcast and get published. So, one of the things I want to talk to you guys about is um, like you hear about information a lot and you're like, yes, that's true, okay, that's true, but unless it hits you, unless you do it yourself, you're like, oh my gosh, this is really absolutely true. So on a podcast, what are you doing when you're showing up to a podcast and you have a story to tell, right? Number one, you have someone's undivided attention for at least 30 minutes to maybe an hour. Number two, they took the time to research you and figure out who you are. And then number three, they're having you kind of dictate the questions. So you can have them ask questions such as, hey, what are your client success? What's your greatest success story? What is your story? And so the getting to know, like, and trust you if you're on the receiving end of the podcast is so strong. And really, if you are selling a B2B product, business to business product, and you are successful, like you have a successful business, you're talking to exactly the people who need you the most. You're talking to the people who need you absolutely the most, because someone that usually has a podcast, hey RJ, look at the view. Someone who usually has a podcast, most of the time, they not all the time, but most of the time, if there is like you look at everyone that has a podcast, right? Most of the time, they do not have a very super booming, successful business. This is most of the time, as with anything, as with, you look at all businesses, most businesses are not super successful, right? And so if you have a solution, if you can help businesses grow, the best thing you can do is to hop on a podcast, because you're talking to someone that most likely doesn't have a big business but wants to grow their business online. So they've gone through a lot of deprogramming in terms of why should they do this online? Why is this online endeavor worth it? Oh, thanks, RJ. This is a really nice view. Yeah. And then second of all, they've already done the hard work in terms of longevity. They are committing to a podcast, which is something that is long term. So they already see this online endeavor that's long term as being absolutely worth it. And that's why they have their own podcast. And a lot of people who do have podcasts, they really want to learn from people who made it to some extent, right? So number three, they're open and willing to learn and absorb information, what you have to say. So, like, I can't think of a better profile in terms of who you can help than someone that has a podcast, especially if you're selling a B2B product, which is helping a business succeed online. The best thing you could do is show up to podcasts and say, I exist, I can help you. And it's not, number four, it's not positioned in the form of a sales conversation at all, but it has all the components of a sales conversation, which is you get to tell kind of your story. You talk about the problems you solve. You can weave into why the problems you solve can help them, their particular scenario and avatar. And then there's a call to action, which which is, how do I find more out about you? So it is a sales conversation in that manner. So, hey RJ, how are you today? Here's a view. So it, I can't think of a better way to spend your week, at least 1 hour or 30 minutes of your week on a podcast episode, talking to someone that has a podcast show. And I understand that this is something that people know about, like, oh yeah, Kim, like I know about this already. But it wasn't until I started doing it on a more frequent level that I realized it's not about, oh, this is another client or this is another sales conversation. It's about, oh my gosh, this is another awareness point. This is one more person that I can possibly help. And this is someone that's open-minded and willing to listen during this session about how I help people. So it really shifted my perspective in terms of, uh, this is something that's nice to do to this is something that I have to do. Just like for our live event in Orlando, Florida, which is coming up, I feel like we have an obligation to show you what is working, to show you how these people, these amazing entrepreneurs, are having 50 plus book calls in the span of 5 days, and all organic, and can be paid ads too, but mostly all organic. And then how they're getting their message across to hundreds of people in such a short amount of time in a small Facebook group, where they can make an extra $100,000-$200,000 a month doing it by working 5 days. It's just, so I feel like the reason why I do these live events is because I have an obligation to really show you what's possible. And when your perspective can shift from I have to do to I get to do, that's one shift. But then after I get to do, you're all, hey Alice, hey JS, you're all like, oh, I get to do this, so this is nice. To, oh my gosh, this is something that I'm obligated to do, because people don't even know. They don't even know how deep this rabbit hole goes. They don't even know how amazing all these amazing things can happen in such a short amount of time in the endeavor that they're moving towards, which is, if they want to have a business online. Yeah, so, oh my gosh, the sun is coming up. The sun is coming up tomorrow. Well, today, not tomorrow. Hey, Alice. Alice! Hey, guys. So I just wanted to share that with you guys about my insights, my epiphanies in podcasting, because I just went through that epiphany just like recently. And it was because, it's a different thing when someone tells you, oh, this is great for you, and then another thing when you experience it yourself. And it wasn't a realization that I've had at the very beginning, because I've been on many podcast shows. It's something that I recently just had the epiphany, like, I'm just like, whoa, oh my gosh. When someone's on a podcast interviewing you and they want help from you to build a business online, or they're looking for that, they are, number one, already committed to the long-term play because they have a podcast. Number two, they've already like dehypnotized themselves on why this online journey is worth it, because they're online doing something that's digital. And then number three, they are searching for solutions, and they're open-minded because they want to interview people who have made it, right? So and number four, the conversation is a sales conversation. Even though you don't directly have a sales conversation, that's the conversation that's happening, because pain is shared, success story is shared, their inspiration on why they're talking to you is shared, and they do the background research on you. So it's all these great things. Hey, Glenn. Yes. So, all right, you guys, that is my insight for today. And then the shift from, oh, that's something I have to do, like, oh gosh, I have to do that, to, oh, I get to do this, I really appreciate it, to, oh shoot, I'm obligated to do this because I'm obligated to show them what's happening, what's working. And that's why, if you guys want access, closing point is, I have a live event in Orlando, Florida that's coming up. We're completely sold out of the of the actual physical ticket, because I rented out a mansion for this event. It's a multi-million-dollar mansion, and then a lot of people coming are current clients. So just so you know, you can have access to the virtual experience. All you have to do is reply to this, DM me #virtual, and I'll give you a link to the virtual ticket that you can purchase. And you'll see behind the scenes on what's really working, monetizing, profiting big on these small groups. So you don't have to spend all your time toiling away trying to get 20,000 subscribers on Instagram and then your bank account not reflecting it. Okay, that's it. #virtual in the comments. DM me if you want access to the virtual ticket, and I will see you guys there. Hey, Glenn is in the house, and Alice and JS. Okay, well, one last look at the view here. Whee! I'll see you guys in a few days in Orlando, Florida. Super excited.
Oh yeah, if you like that video, then you will love all the resources that I have over at kimcdang.com. That is KIMCDANG.com. There you will find all my courses, my extensions, all the offers that I have, as well as a lot of free resources if you are just getting started.